Good evening, everybody. We're having our regular monthly meeting for October 2022. At this time, the clerk will call roll.
Mayor Bashir,
Present.
Alderman Dial,
Present.
Alderman Deal,
Present.
Alderman Hotchkiss, Alderman Majors.
Present.
Okay. Well, we put out a public notice in the newspaper for public hearing regarding the tornado siren grant through United States Department of Agriculture. Mr. Harkey works for USDA, which is federal government agency, so they're on holiday today, so he's not able to attend. But he did state, I got some notes here, and the tornado siren grant is a 75-25 grant, meaning USDA will pay 75% of the total cost. The city is responsible for 25% of that cost. And earlier this year, I got a quote on the tornado siren. That quote was $38,812. At the time, the board all agreed, hey, look, you know, that's just not something we can swing right now. So if it's the cost of the siren stays the same at $38,812, being a 75-25 grant, the city would be reimbursed $29,100. So we would be out a little less than 10 grand out of the city's pocket to purchase a tornado siren. And one siren will cover the entire city. So that's a good thing. One other point on that is we originally was going to go through Boot Hill Regional Planning Commission on the tornado siren grant, a FEMA grant. And through FEMA, you have to give what's called a SOI, or a statement of interest. Meaning you submit it to FEMA that the city is interested in applying for a grant for a specific purpose, in our case being an inclement weather warning device. And then they have up to 2 years to reply back whether or not you can get this grant. And after 2 years, it gets kicked out of the system, and then you have to reapply. So going through the United States Department of Agriculture, or USDA, is an option, and we can vote on it tonight if the board wants to do so in an ordinance resolution, and then get the paperwork signed over to Mr. Harkey at USDA, and then we can get in the running and hopefully get funded through them. So does the public have any questions regarding this? Because this portion of the meeting is a public hearing regarding tornado siren.
No, I think it's a good idea.
Yes, ma'am. And you've been at meetings where we've talked about this, Ms. Adams.
Yes.
Any other member of the public have any questions regarding tornado siren?
I agree with her. I believe it's a good idea.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Just so the board knows, going through USDA, we'll have to pay for 100% up front, and then we'll be reimbursed the 75% once everything's processed. Just like how we're doing through the fire department with the Department of Conservation grants that we've done. So
Are we able to pay through ARPA funds?
we could pay out of capital. Okay, so any other questions from the board regarding that? If there's no questions from members of the public, no questions from the board, we'll move on to regular board meeting. Alderman Majors, you have any questions? Alderman Dale?
So this bill number 714, is that what this pertains to or not?
Yes, and that's item 8 on our agenda. Any other questions? Alderman Dodd? Okay. No. All right, first item on your agenda is financial report for the month of September 2022. Any questions, concerns, comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to accept the financial report for September 2022 financial report.
Have a motion on the floor.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is the September 2022 collector's report. Questions, concerns, comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we accept the
September 2022 collector's report, city collector's report.
Have a motion on the floor?
And I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is regular board meeting minutes dated September 12th, 2022. Questions, concerns, comment? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion we accept the regular session Monday, September 12th, 2022 meeting minutes.
Have a motion on the floor?
I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Abstain.
Aye.
Have 2 ayes and an abstention. Motion carries.
Okay.
Alderman Dial, who wasn't present. Next item on the agenda is personnel meeting minutes dated September 12th, 2022. Question, concern, comment? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from September 12th, 2022.
Have a motion on the floor? Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Special session.
All right, so we have 2 ayes and an abstention. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a special session meeting minutes dated September 20th, 2022. Questions, concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for the special session meeting minutes, September 20th, 2022, to be accepted.
Have a motion on the floor?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item number 7 on the agenda. I didn't hear back from Boudreaux Regional Planning today because they're closed due to it being federal holiday. So we'll revisit that next month. Item number 8 on the agenda is bill number 714. I'll entertain a motion to read bill number 714. So the public knows, this bill 714 is a resolution for applying for that tornado siren through USDA. And this is a pretty lengthy ordinance. Typically, we do a first reading of the ordinance, we read the entire ordinance. And then we'll come back and do a reading by title only for the second reading. But due to the length of this ordinance and the resolution, we're going to do it by title only. And there's copies. Does anybody in the audience want a copy of this bill? Does anybody want one and does not have one? No? Okay. All right. So I'll entertain a motion for the clerk to read bill number 714 for the first time by title only.
I make a motion to read the first reading of the bill 714 by title only.
Have a motion on the floor?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Okay, at this time, clerk will read bill number 714 by title only.
Bill number 714, a resolution of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Morehouse concerning acceptance and compliance with various requirements to obtain financial assistance from the United States of America, acting through the United States Department of Agriculture, Rural Development.
Okay. At this time, any questions regarding this before we move forward? At this time, I'll entertain a motion for the clerk to read bill number 714, the second reading by title only.
Make a motion that we do the second reading of bill number 714 by title only.
Have a motion on the floor? Motion and a second. All in favor? Okay. This time, the clerk will do the second reading of bill number 714 by title only.
Bill number 714, a resolution of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Morehouse concerning acceptance and compliance with various requirements to obtain financial assistance from the United States of America, acting through the United States Department of Agriculture, Rural Development.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion adopting ordinance 713.
Make a motion we adopt ordinance number 713.
Have a motion on the floor?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Next item on the agenda is discussing the sewer rates. So tonight I have Ms. Mary West Calcagno from Missouri Rural Water, and I have Ms. Valerie, also with Missouri Rural Water, in attendance. They've got some slides and a little presentation to present to the public and the board regarding our wastewater system. So at this time, I'll turn the floor over to Ms. Mary.
Okay, so first of all, let me just explain why the city of Morehouse needs to do what they're proposing to do tonight. The city has applied for grant money to upgrade their wastewater lagoon system to meet regulations that DNR put in their last permit renewal. In order to meet ammonia limits and E. coli, the city is going to have to do some pretty substantial updates to their lagoon. In order to do that, what they're looking at right now is somewhere in the neighborhood of about $5 million. There is an opportunity to apply for a grant that is geared for small communities that came about as the ARPA legislation that was passed in March of 2021. DNR has set this grant up for communities under 3,300 population and communities that are disadvantaged. And there are certain things that you have to meet to be qualified as a disadvantaged community. One of those depends on the median household income, and you'll hear of that a lot as we go through these slides tonight. Median household income means that 50% of the people in town make more money than that amount, and 50% of the households in town make less than that amount. It's not a per person, it's per household. So we're not saying that people in town make this much money individually, we're saying that the Census Bureau says this is how much each household makes. Does it make sense? And so in order to qualify for this, to get more points for the grant, the city has to have wastewater rates that are at 2% of that median household income. Currently, the city's user rates are less than 1%, and so the city gets no points at all for that grant scoring. It is very important that the city get this grant money so that it does not impact the user rates any more than it has to. In order to get loan, if the city is not successful in getting the grant, because this is a compliance issue, they still have to do the work. It's not optional. And so then the city would be forced, even with grants from USDA or CDBG or the Department of Natural Resources, there would still be a loan component in there. And to qualify for those grants, you still have to be at that 2% of median household income. So one way or the other, the city is going to have to get to that point. The problem is that the grant drop-dead deadline to qualify for these points is Wednesday. So that's why I came to the city and said, I've added up your points. This is where they're saying kind of the break point may be for the cities that are going to get funded and the ones that aren't. I don't like being close to that line, so I wanted to bring it down and talk to the council and see what their desires were and what the community wanted to do. So we proposed several different options to look at how we get there. And then we also have a slide, a presentation about what your rates are currently and where you are right now. So we'll go through this. This is DNR software that they use to do rate setting. And so Liz Grove with Missouri Rural Water came down and worked through this. We take a look at the city's current debt service. Series A, I think, is the sewer debt, and that payment is just under $50,000 a year. Total expenses from your budget is $105,500, so that puts total expenses of $154,388. It goes through some other calculations about BOD and suspended solids and all of that wastewatery stuff. What I tell people is it's all just poo, and most people don't want to talk about that. You have 361 customers in the system. Total gallons sold is just under 13 million on sewer. There are fewer sewer customers in town than there are water, which is typical in most communities because sewer is a gravity system. Water is a pressurized system so that you can run lines easier and get to the remote houses. So what it comes out to be right now, the city's minimum charge for the base fee on your bill, you will see it's $18 and 25 cents?
25.
Okay. So what we did is we took out the $2.07, that is your volume fee, because your users get 1,000 gallons in that base fee as part of that $18.25. So we back that back out. Your actually base fee is $16.18. Then we go back and figure how much the 2% of median household income rate is based on a 5,000 gallon a month user. That is not the average user in Morehouse. What we find in most small communities as people buy water efficient appliances, they buy water efficient shower heads, aerators on your faucets. The use per family, per household has gone down over the years. A typical family uses around 3,000 gallons a month. A single person living alone might use less than 1,000. That's why a lot of cities put that first 1,000 gallons in their base rate. So for 5,000 gallons, right now, your rate is at $26.53 based on the current rate, okay? So that's what will compare to these other options. Come on, come back. Okay, option one. So same, didn't increase the expenses at all for any of the options. So we have not added any additional spending into the budget. This is just based on rates. Oh, one thing I do want to go back and show you. So at your current rate, we always want to know, are you covering essential costs currently? Right now, with the debt service, the sewer account is in the red by $57,394 today. So that's the amount of revenue that I think right now the debt service is being totally funded out of the drinking water side.
Correct.
Okay? So, option one. As I said, same expenses, same debt service, same users, same billed amount. Same base rate. So right now, what we did is we put the $18.25 as the base rate, but we took out that 1,000 gallon included in the base fee. So there will be a charge then for that first 1,000 gallons where there isn't currently outside of the base. Okay. So then we get to the residential user charge. Instead of the $2.07, the new rate for option one would be $7.81 per 1,000 gallons. A 5,000 gallon user, that's that 2% of median household income, would be $57.30. At this rate, we estimate, based on the expenses that we talked about, that the city would have a budget surplus then of $26,000 a year, just over. So that could be put into reserves or something like that, that the city needs to be setting aside money to replace pumps or do work for. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you, rather than go through this, and I can definitely do that, but I have a very simplified spreadsheet that shows all of the different options. So this is option 1 that we just talked about. So what I wanted to do was to explain for different user levels, as far as how much water somebody used a month, what the different bills would be. So for option 1, if you use 1,000 gallons a month, your monthly bill would be $26.06. 2,000 gallons a month, the monthly bill would be $33.87. 3,000, $41.67, all the way down to 5,000 to where it's $57.29. That's with the $18.25 a month base fee. Option 2 is a $30 base fee. The volume rate goes down to $5.46. The impact of that is that the smallest user of 1,000 gallons a month, instead of $26.06, would be $35.46. And then it goes up from there based on how much water is used. One thing I didn't explain that everybody may know but may not is that your sewer bill is based on how much water you use. So if your water meter says you use 2,000 gallons this month, and that's how much sewer you're billed for. So if you want to cut your water and sewer bill, the best way to do that is to reduce how much water you use. Okay. Option 3 would be a $28 base fee. The volume fee is a little bit higher, $5.86. And so then that lowest customer would be $33.86. Option 4 would increase the base fee to $25. The volume fee goes up to $6.46 1,000. The lowest customer would be $31.46. The 3,000 gallon user would be $44.37. Yeah. So this is how we come up with the median household income. This is what, it's a Census Bureau number. That's where we get this from. DNR says that's the data that we have to use unless they do an individual house-by-house survey in the community. And then 2% of that is $687.50 a year, $57.29 a month. So I ran through that kind of quickly, kind of at a high level. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, now's the time. Does anyone at the board, up here at the board, have any questions?
Just one question I've got. You said the surplus, Ms. Mary, for option 1 was $26,169.76. I know last week whenever I was looking at this, the surplus was about half of that.
That's
Right.
because I called Miss Mary on Friday, and the debt service that figures that they had in the original spreadsheet was actually the water debt and not the wastewater debt, correct?
Right.
Yeah, so that's why our numbers are a little different.
So I went in and corrected that, and that's the numbers that we have here.
Now, and just so everybody's aware, I heard Miss Mary state it a while ago, but it may not have come across to everyone, is whether we do this now, raising the rates to be 2% of median household income, and get a better shot, is it 20 or 25 bonus points?
25.
25 bonus points for the $5 million ARPA wastewater grant, which is 100% funded. If whether or not we do this now to raise it to 2% median household income, or we wait later on down the road, we're still going to have to do this. This is not something that we can kick the can down the road and it's about to be election time. We don't want to be the bad guy. We can't play those games because this is serious business. As she's shown on option 1 slide, the city's current, how much were we in the red on our wastewater debt?
Almost $27,000.
So almost $27,000 a year, we're spending out more than what we're bringing in on our wastewater side.
Oh, no, that was 57,000.
That was 57,000. Yeah, so what we're billing each household each month is not covering our expenses to operate the system. And we just can't do this. So I know this is not something that anybody wants to do in our shoes, and I know it's not anything that the public wants to do is pay more on a bill. But these are things that are going to have to happen. And option 1, to me, option 1 is every one of these options. If she can scroll down just a little bit on this slide, the 5,000 gallon a month user is all the same. It's how we go about getting to that number. And to me, option 1 hurts the widows, the elderly people that are single, the single households, the low income, the disabled people, or residents at the housing authority, because the majority of them don't use 1,000 gallons of water a month anyway. So option 1, in my mind, we still get to where we're at 2% median household income. It's just, it doesn't hurt our lowest consumption users the most. So does anyone in the public have a question related to this?
When did you say this had to be turned in?
The deadline is Wednesday.
Why did everybody wait so late? We could have done this survey.
The survey?
Yeah, to go house to house or whatever.
We're going house to house is we're using census data, correct, Ms. Mayor? So even if we had started this 4 months ago, the census isn't going to come in and go house to house just because we want better numbers, correct?
The city could.
The city could.
The city could, and
Chances are good it wouldn't go in your favor, because the census data is from, what, 2010?
no, it's 2020.
It's 2020.
This is 2020 data.
Okay.
But, so, the ordinance has to be passed by Wednesday. The effect of the ordinance does not have to take place until December. If the city believes that this income is incorrect, then you do have time to do a an income survey in your community. If at that time you find out that it's different, if it's lower, then that amount, that 5729 would go down. If you find out it's higher, then that rate would go up. If you remember in 2020, a lot of people were out of work. So, you know,
A lot of our residents are older,
okay,
most of them are older,
yeah.
senior citizens. I don't know how much percentage, but it's a big percentage that most people in this town. Senior citizens.
It's like 31% or so
33,
that are retirement age. Does anybody else have any comments or questions? Yes, ma'am.
No matter how long you wait, we're gonna have to do it. And I don't care if this room is absolutely full of people. When you say the word raise, that's all they're gonna hear. And they're gonna have a hissy fit. They're not even gonna listen to the fact of the importance of what's needed to be done.
Well, the thing, I think what we need to stress here in this meeting here is, like was spoken, whether we pass the ordinance tonight and move this along, give us an opportunity to get a $5 million grant
Which we should do.
to get the work done that has to be done. Not that we want done, it has to be done.
Right.
If we do not pass this, then what happens next is we end up having cash in bonds. Am I not correct?
That is correct, but as DNR and Ms. Mary has stated, we have, our bonding capacity right now is 3.6, 3.8 million.
Yeah.
We would have to go back to the voters and pass another bond because they want you to have bonding capacity to cover
The whole
the entire
price.
The
project.
entire
cost.
project. And what I'm saying is at that point in time, we still are going to get this raised. The only difference is if we pass this, ordinance tonight and put forth an effort to show that we're on a move towards compliance, or trying to be, then that gives us 25 points to go toward this grant. These grants are based off points. Right now, we're falling short.
Well, and I will tell you, I've been working in or around municipal government utilities since 1980. And this is the first time since the early 80s that there has been grant money available like this. It was 90-10 back in the early 80s, then it was 80-20, you know, then you could get some 60-40, and then it just went away.
And can you explain for the members of the public, the 90-10, the 80-20, the 60-40, can you explain that so
Sure.
everyone understands?
So when the Clean Water Act was passed in the late 70s, early 80s, Congress realized that municipalities, that all of these permittees that were gonna have to have a permit to discharge wastewater did not have money to put in sewer treatment. Used to, sewer treatment was, we're gonna pipe the wastewater to the nearest creek, and then when it rains, it just flushes everything out of town. And that was how they got rid of most of the disease in the communities that had population. And so in the 80s, they said, well, that's not good enough. You have to have at least primary treatment. You have to remove the solids from the wastewater. And so then came secondary treatment. You have to remove some of the nutrients, the VOD and suspended solids. So then now you have to disinfect so that the E. coli is inactivated. They want to make sure that we have a lower ammonia limit so that the fish are okay in whatever stream that you discharge to. It's a particularly difficult issue down here in the boot heel because everybody discharges to an irrigation ditch. And the irrigation ditches, by their nature, are to irrigate farm fields. What do you put on farm fields?
Chemicals.
Ammonia. So the ammonia is very high in those irrigation ditches. Well, agriculture doesn't need a permit to discharge, not the way cities do. So cities have to put in this treatment, no matter the cost, in order to help. I won't get on my soapbox. But anyway, so that initially they were doing, if the city pays 10% of the cost, the federal government will pay 90%. And then they got most of the folks on board, and then they dropped it back to 80-20. You know how congressional appropriations go. First they give you a lot of money, and then it gets scaled back, and then it gets scaled back. So then it was 30-70. The city paid 30, the feds would pay 70. And then it just kept decreasing, and the amount available, the bucket of money got smaller until the bucket just disappeared. So now, because of ARPA, because of the pandemic, Congress decided to make this ARPA money available, and the state decided how to spend it. And so DNR and the state legislature initially, for this ARPA money, the legislature wanted it to be a 50-50 grant, where the city would have to put up 50% and the grant would be 50%. but several organizations, where water included, lobbied the state government
Oh, my goodness.
and said, no, the cities, these small towns can't afford that 50%. And so they were able, the minimum contribution is $1. And so for very small communities that are very disadvantaged, that bar was very much reduced. And so when I say this is generational grant money, that's what we're talking about. This is the first time in 40 years that the federal government has offered this kind of money.
Thanks for explaining that. Does anyone else in the public have any questions regarding what we're discussing? Because I want everyone to, if you have a question, don't be embarrassed. I mean, this is a lot. And to Ms. Evelyn's point, I understand it seems like we're springing this on you just like that. But we have to deal with information as we receive it. And Wednesday is the deadline. This is a make or break for this city. The people that have been attending the meetings regularly and those at home that watch on YouTube, you know that we're already in an abatement order on consent through DNR. They have fined the city due to our non-compliance on what we're discharging into Little River. They call Little River, according to DNR, there's a recreational season and Little River is considered a recreational waterway. To me, it's not Current River, it's Little River, but we have to go by what DNR says and what they classified it as. So this is our one shot at getting the ARPA wastewater grant, and we're going to have to raise these rates to 2% MHI regardless. This is something that is going to have to be done, and it's.
We're not gonna be able to water our yards anymore, our flowers, our vegetables. We won't be able to.
I take this very seriously because I think I'm just like everybody else. I mean, you can ask my wife and my kids.
Yeah.
Even when the price of gas goes up 2 or 3 cents, I'm a complainer about that.
I am too.
I don't like for anything to go up.
Yeah.
But just as the mayor said, this is something that we have to do just because we have a good shot at getting that grant. And if we don't get the grant, we're still going to have to do this anyway later down the road. And right now, as Miss Mary said, we're running in a deficit right now. So I don't believe we have an option. And I've reviewed, I've talked to the mayor and I've talked to Alderman Darren Dial about this a little bit. But in my opinion, just like the mayor said, option one, I believe, is the best option for us as a whole.
And Mayor, I don't know if you've shared, but the only way you were able to get your lift station pumps fixed was through a grant from the county, correct? The city
Correct.
did not have the funds.
We
for
did
that.
not have the fund. This was just repairing our 4 lift stations was a $351,000 project. Well, that's our entire water, wastewater, and a third of our general budget, yearly budget. And this is no fault of anyone sitting up here. Things have been neglected over the years. If you don't keep your rates up, user rates up, and set aside in an R&E account, replacement and extension account, monies every month, these are big ticket. One of those pumps is 12 grand. Just one pump, 12,000 bucks.
You got 2 votes.
And we got 8 pumps. So I can see how the previous boards and mayor, you feel like your hands are tied, because you don't want to raise the rates. You don't want to seem like you're taking advantage of your residents, but all of this stuff is expensive. It's expensive to maintain, and it's expensive to replace when it actually completely goes out. Even applying for the $5 million ARPA wastewater grant, $5 million is not enough to do everything that needs to be done. $5 million is going to get us a new treatment plant out of the lagoon, and hopefully we can go to a land application system. we're not having to deal with these discharge permit limits. And you know, Alderman Dill touched on something a while ago. Our timeline on this is very short. You know, in June or July, 2025, was it June or is it July, Miss Mary?
I think June.
June of 2025, everybody's in the state of Missouri, I don't know if this is federal, but I know for the state level DNR, the discharge limit numbers are going to be a lot more stringent. And we can't meet our current discharge limits for E. coli and ammonia as nitrogen. We're not meeting those limits. That's with everything we've done. The liquid bugs that we've put in, the new aeration system. And without, that lagoon is at half capacity with sludge. Just to get permits and to get that lagoon sludge is $250,000. It's $250,000 to get it dredged out. That doesn't count a UV disinfectant system, pan engineering, and that's the bare bones minimum. We've got mains that are busted, that are egg shaped. They run CCTV cameras through them. 9,000 linear foot of wastewater mains was camera inspected just a few months ago. And there's a lot of defects. So some of those areas of sewer mains are going to have to be excavated. The entire main is going to have to be dug up and replaced. Other portions of it are going to have to be lined. They have a PVC lining system that they can inject, and it lines the sewer main. So, you know, $5 million sounds, it's a lot of money to you and I. But when you talk about a big capital project like this, it doesn't go far because you're using federal dollars, you have to pay prevailing wages.
Only state prevailing wage. So they did remove some of the requirements, so you don't have to pay Davis-Bacon rates, and you don't have to meet the Buy American, Build American, so it's not American steel and things like that. So it is a little bit cheaper than what it would be under like an SRF loan or something like that.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, and I do get what you're saying, Ms. Evelyn, because I'm the same way, okay? But the water's not gonna cost us that much more to water.
Oh, no, I know our systems are really, really old and didn't,
I mean, it's just something that we need for the
I know it
city.
is.
I do have a question about how much more would our bills increase?
Okay,
Because I know it is, y'all said it was going to increase by 2%, but could y'all break that down?
now, Ms. Barrett, can you bring that slide back
Because
up?
I need to tell my mother-in-law, she didn't want to.
And I can give you this tonight,
That's fine.
if you would like my copy. That way
Yes.
you can take it and review it.
I'm not going to be like Caleb. I'm not going to make this scene of it because I know everything goes up between the shoes we wear,
Well, you know,
our clothing, our
it's-
food. I mean, it's hard to pay things, but I can understand y'all's issues, and I say it needs to be done. I'm one of the
So-
ones who can support that.
I'll
So.
leave this up, and if you just want to take a picture of that option one, and then go back and look at her bill and see how much.
Right now, she's paying nearly $90 a month, but we're living with her, and we're adding more into the wash, and we're, taking more showers, and we're, running the
Okay.
dishwasher a little bit. But I mean, $90 considering isn't all that bad, because my brother lives in a different state, and his water bill alone is almost $200.
You know how many gallons a month she's using?
She's getting close to about 4,500 a gallon.
Yeah,
About like something
a
like that.
$90-ish bill is anywhere from 3,500 to 4,500.
Yeah, something like that, so that's what we've been billed,
Yeah,
but it's
so
not
if-
bad considering.
And the good news is, I should always lead with the good news, right? I should lead with this. Okay, so the good news is, when we did the drinking water rate study, the drinking water rates are okay. So those rates do not need to go up. So it's only the sewer portion of the bill that's gonna go up. So that is one bright spot. A lot of times when we come into a community that has this kind of an issue, the drinking water rates are just as bad as the wastewater rates. But that is not true here. So,
But our drinking water rates, half of it is our sewer rate.
but that will change.
That's the portion that's going to change, Miss Evelyn, is when they come in and done their rate study, we had it set at 50%. of our water rate was your sewer rate.
Yeah,
Well, we have to detach the sewer rate from our water rate because they both carry their own debt, correct?
Yes.
The wastewater system is Series A bond, the drinking water and distribution is Series B and C bonds. So we have to detach those two, one can't be tied to the other.
okay.
So they have to independently be able to support themselves, and at bare minimum, we have to bring in enough to not be in the red. So our debt service, our maintenance, our repairs, our employee costs for each department has to be supported with the rates that we're charging our customers.
Okay.
Is that a
So
good
water
explanation,
will-
Ms. Mary?
Water will not change,
No.
Your base on your water will be the same.
yeah.
And what is gonna raise is your sewage rate.
And I can touch on that, your answer, or to answer your question real quick. This, what Ms. Mary was talking about here is 2606. If you're using 1,000 gallons a month, that's going to be 2606 now. It's going to go up about $7.81 from what it was before.
And if you're using 4,000.
If you're using 4,000, it's going to be $49.48 now. It's about a $25 a month increase
At
How much?
4,000 gallons.
at 4,000 gallons.
How much?
So right
Say it
now,
again.
4,000 is 24.48, and 4,000 will be 49.48.
Yep.
So $25.
So right now, it's 24.48, it's going to go to 49.48.
Yeah, that's almost double.
Well, that's on,
That's for
that's on,
4,000.
that's on a 4,000
4,000,
gallon.
we're getting about 4,500,
That's about where I'm at. My household is about 4,000 a month.
But you're one person.
Can I speak out of turn?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to point out that if you don't go this, okay, like you can say that the next grant cycle is going to be the same 2%, but it's not, because it's going to have debt to go with it. So then you're going to have even more, okay? Because you've increased your debt, okay? There will be debt, because the next grant cycle is not going to be 100% grant. You're going to have a loan that goes with it, okay? Like nobody else is gonna give 100% grant. They haven't since the 80s, and at that point it was a 90%.
With that said, you have to realize that this is 100% basically on $5 million. Now, if they go down to an 80-20, which
Is unheard of.
is unheard of,
60%
but if
is
they
what
go down
I'm
to an
seeing.
80-20 on a $5 million, 20% is $1 million bucks.
$1 million bucks.
And
The
you're
cities
not-
do not
The
have
city
any
does
extra
not
debt.
have.
So-
And you're not gonna have $26,000 worth of surplus.
So we're gonna have to
Actually,
take out a loan to do that.
Yeah.
And by 2025, June of 2025, we're gonna be in compliance, or they're gonna bring us into compliance.
They'll force our hand.
They'll force
They'll
our hand.
fine you.
Well, they
No,
push
they'll
us
do worse
down,
than fine
push
you.
us
They will
down.
bring someone in here to bring everything up to date, and we will not be in control of this water and stuff. And then you will pay whatever who is in control says you're gonna pay.
It's our job to get as much information as we can and then make the best decision that we think is for the whole city, so.
Well, I'm not against this. I know it needs to be done. I know our stuff is old and wore out and,
But I think what we're trying to do
but I'm
tonight.
trying to just understand what I can tell my family about this. I wanna,
We
this,
tonight
you
are
know.
trying to give the
Yeah.
best option at the lowest rate where it's gonna be less impact on the citizens of this town. Because basically kicking the can down the road is not gonna be good for anybody in this town.
Well, kicking the can down the road is what's
It's
got
the
us
reason we're here.
in the situation we're in. But we're not here to discuss that.
No.
We're here to, like Alderman Dill said, when we get the information, we have to make the best informed decision with the information we have at hand. And I can say, these two ladies and Miss Gail have really worked, especially Miss Mary and Miss Gail, have worked very hard on this ARPA grant. And this is our one chance. And it's not just 5 million, it's actually 5.2 million because we're applying for a $200,000 lead service line inventory. And it's still the same points-based system. So by doing this tonight, we're getting ahead of the curve because we're gonna have to do it, whether we do it tonight or we do it 2 months from now, it's gonna have to be done.
If it's a $5.2 million grant, 100%, but we're still gonna raise the rates to pay what? Because we're gonna pay back.
Because
Because we're in the red.
we're in the
currently.
red.
We're in the red currently, so we gotta raise our rates. We currently carry debt from the Series A bond on the wastewater system.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Mary, but USDA states if you carry debt, you have to be at 2% median household income. And we're not.
Compliance with your current.
Yeah, we're not in compliance with our current loan, Series A bond. We're not in compliance. And so this is something that's gonna have to be done.
This is from a current loan.
As well as getting this new grant.
As well as going forward.
Plus, like they said, this will give us 25 points that we can apply towards that grant. They grade it on points.
Okay, does anyone else have any more comments or questions?
I say go for option one. If y'all think it'd be beneficial for us and even the senior citizens of our community, I say go for option one. We really need this. We really do, and I have to support y'all in any decisions, and I thank y'all for even trying to fix this issue. And I thank y'all ladies for bringing the slideshow for us so we could better understand the issue that we have.
Well, I wanted Miss Mary, I didn't know Valerie was coming with Miss Mary tonight, but I thought it would be beneficial for the public to hear it from someone other than myself. You know, hearing me get up here and ramble on all the time, a lot of people don't want to hear what I got to say. So if you hear it from someone that's an outsider, that's impartial, that is just trying to ensure that the city comes into compliance, I think it's better for everyone. It's better for the board, it's better for the public, and it gives everybody, you know, when you hear it from an outsider, someone that's impartial, you're getting a 40,000 foot view. And you get the big picture and you're looking down and you can see it all. It's not coming from Joe Brashear. You know, it's coming from Miss Mary from Missouri Rural Water Association, who, as she said, has experience going back into the 80s with public utilities. So I think the board makes a decision tonight. Like I said, I would encourage the board to go with option one. I think the majority is in agreement with that, and we'll just move forward and keep our fingers crossed. We were supposed to know originally sometime in October whether it was we would get awarded, and I think they kicked that.
They kicked it back to November sometime.
But this is something the city's gonna have to do, and hopefully it will get us this grant.
So what do you need from us, Mayor?
Well, if there's no other questions or concerns, it'd be bill number 715 to become ordinance 714 and state the option. And I would have the clerk, I'll entertain a motion to pass bill 715.
I will motion to pass bill 715.
Have a motion on the floor?
Or option one?
For
Yes, with option one.
I'll second that motion.
Motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
At this time, clerk will read bill number 715 in full.
Bill number 715, option one. An ordinance of the city of Morehouse, New Madrid County, Missouri, establishing charges and rates for the use and service of the wastewater system, repealing ordinance number 691 and all conflicting ordinances. Whereas the city of Morehouse, Missouri owns and operates a wastewater system, and whereas it is necessary that said city establish rates and charges for the services of said wastewater system sufficient to provide at all times funds adequate to pay the cost of operation and maintenance of the wastewater system. Whereas said cost of the wastewater system operation and maintenance includes payment for debt service, and whereas the city of Morehouse finds that the sewer rates must be set independently of the water rate. Now therefore be it ordained by the governing authority of the city of Morehouse, New Madrid, Missouri, as follows. Section 1, city City of Morehouse ordinance number 691, which sets sewer rates as a percentage of the water rates, is hereby repealed. Section 2, the charge for sewer service shall be as follows. Base fee for all residential and commercial customers, $18.25 per thousand. Right?
No.
It's $18.25
for the base.
for the base. Volume charge for sewer based on metered water per 1,000 gallons, $7.808. All ordinance or parts of ordinance in conflict hereby are herewith repealed. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after the December 22 read date.
All right. I'll entertain a motion for the clerk to read bill number 715 to become ordinance 714.
Bill number
Hang
7.
on, I'll entertain a motion. Sorry.
Make a motion that clerk reads Bill 715 become ordinance number 714.
Have a motion on the floor?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No, go ahead and read it all.
So, 714. Ordinance 714, an ordinance of the City of Morehouse, New Madrid County, Missouri, establishing charges and rates for the use and service of the wastewater system, repealing ordinance number 691 and all conflicting ordinances. Whereas the City of Morehouse, Missouri owns and operates a wastewater system, and whereas it is necessary that said city establish rates and charges for the service of said wastewater system sufficient to provide at all times funds adequate to pay the cost of operation and maintenance of the wastewater system. Whereas said cost of the wastewater system operation and maintenance includes payment for debt service, and whereas the City of Morehouse finds the sewer rates must be set independently of the water rate. Now therefore be it ordained by the governing authority of the City of Morehouse, New Madrid County, Missouri as follows. Section 1, City of Morehouse ordinance number 691, which sets sewer rates as a percentage of the water rates, is hereby repealed. Section 2, the charge for sewer service shall be as follows. Base fee for all residential and commercial customers, $18.25. Volume charge for sewer based on metered water per 1,000 gallons is $7.808. All ordinance or parts of ordinance in conflict herewith are hereby repealed. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after the December 2022 read date. Passed and approved this 10th day of October 2022.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to pass ordinance number 714.
Make a motion we pass ordinance number 714.
Motion on the floor?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next item on the agenda is invoice from Stafford Levitt regarding law enforcement insurance. It's invoice number 114877 for a total amount of $648. Any questions or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion we pass invoice number 114877 from Stafford Levitt Insurance Services in the amount of $648.
Have a motion on the floor?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next item on the agenda is, the first one is for flood insurance for the fire department. Alderman Dill, you're the insurance man, speak on this. There's two different options, correct? There's option A and B.
A and B. Looks like option B has a building coverage of $300,000 with a deductible of $1,250. Contents coverage of $150,000 with a deductible of $1,250. That's option A.
Option A.
Yeah. Option B, if we want to choose option B, well, option A, for that premium was $1,033 a year. Option B, if we decide to do that, is a little bit more coverage on the building, $330,000 with the same deductible, $1,250. Contents coverage, it goes up to $158,000 with a deductible the same. And the premium is about $31 more. It's $1,064 a year.
Does the board have any questions, concerns? Which, Alderman Dill, do you have a recommendation on which option we select?
I think 300,000 is adequate myself,
So option A.
option A. But that's just up to the board.
Does any other board members have any comments, questions? No? All right, well, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we accept the flood coverage quote from Foremost Insurance. Option A for $300,000 on the building, $150,000 of contents coverage for a total of $1,032.
Have a motion on the floor to accept option A from Foremost Insurance regarding the fire department flood insurance.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
On the next quote, I do have a question about that. This is for the water plant, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm just wondering why the insurance company has it as a frame building. On the left side of the first page, it says frame and built in 1975, so they haven't updated their records, have they?
No, because this is a block building.
Right.
Yeah,
So, and that building covers is $150,000, that's real low.
that's way too low.
So, it'd be my recommendation that we contact the insurance company and ask them to reevaluate that building coverage and contents coverage and get back. Can we do that for the next meeting?
Yes, sir. November expiration date.
November 6th.
Okay, that's what we'll do then. All right, next item on the agenda is the invoice from Best Sanitation for fall cleanup. As you see, he had one load of trash at $475 per load, $400 labor, $100 fuel, for a total of $975. Questions, concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I will motion to accept the $975 for fall cleanup for October 10th.
Have a motion on the
October
floor?
1st, 2022, sorry.
Have a motion on the floor?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is old business, and at the September 22nd meeting that we had, or excuse me, the September 20th meeting that we had, Alderman Dill made a motion to pay for the park pavilions, but we did not make another motion to pay for that out of capital improvement, nor did we make a motion to amend the budget to reflect paying that out of capital improvement. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion. Let me give you the total dollar amount. There's a breakdown. If you want a motion to pay that out of capital improvement,
I'll make a motion that we pay the $8,174.24 for the park repairs out of capital improvement.
have a motion on the floor.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, now I'll accept or entertain a motion to amend the budget to reflect the transfer of funds out of capital improvement.
I will set a motion to amend the minutes for the
No, amend the budget.
budget, sorry, for the state capital, right?
No.
No.
Make a motion, I want to make a motion to amend the budget to transfer $8,174.24 from, how do I say that? I forgot how to say that.
You want to make a motion to amend the budget for transfer of capital improvement funds to general.
Okay. I want to make a motion to amend to transfer funds from capital funding to general.
Amend the budget.
Amend the budget.
Okay. I have a motion on the floor to amend the budget.
I'll say.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. So, supplies for the water plant. That's under new business. So you'll see there's the DO pen is bad, and our pH pens for our meter over there at the water plant is bad. So we have to have a pin to test for dissolved oxygen for the wastewater. And then we have to have 2 separate pins to test the pH, one for water and one for wastewater. So Chris, who was running the plant last week, contacted me and told me that the pins are messing up, and he called Hawks and got these quotes. It's cheaper to get them straight through Hawks than it is through USA Blue Book or any of the other suppliers that supply this type of equipment. So for the DO pin, it's $986.72. For the pH pin for the water system is $380.80, and the pH pin for the wastewater is $395.36 for a total of $1,762.88. So he has to use these to test the pH every day when he tests the pH. 88. He has to use the pH pen for the water every day and test the pH on the water side. And then when they do their sewer samples, that's when they test the pH in the wastewater and the DO, the dissolved oxygen in the wastewater. So, if the board have any questions, I mean, these are things that are broke, we need to replace.
How long they use for that? How long they use for that?
Well, that system there has been going since the plant. And maybe they had that in the old one. I don't know. I wasn't around then. Does the board have any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we purchase the optical dissolved oxygen sensor for $986.72 from Hawk. Also the pH electrode cable, which is part number PHC 101 for $380.80. And the pH electrode cable, part number PHC 301, in the amount of $395.36 for a total of $1,762.88.
Have a motion on the floor?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Yeah, water sewer.
Okay, next item is creating an ordinance to set hours at the park. The current ordinance we have is, the curfew ordinance only deals with minors. And apparently, there's been some people hanging out at the park, shooting up drugs, and we need to get an ordinance in effect and have set hours for the park. So what does the board think is, good hours?
I think most cities have their hours 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Is that about right?
Yeah.
That's what you see posted on
That's what Matthews Park
the
is.
majority of city parks, both big and small. They're closed from, so your closure would be from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Is that set well with everybody up here on the board?
It does.
Okay. All right, then we'll move forward and get an ordinance adopted, or written up, and I'll get it to y'all for review. Next item on the agenda is, I'd like to set a budget for street signs. We did this last year, and we set a budget of $1,500. Is that something that the board would like to look at again?
How much was it last year?
$1,500 is what we set. We only used, I'd have to go back and look, it was $1,200, $1,300. But this year we need to purchase some more poles. Instead of just the actual sign, we need some more poles.
How close were we on the budget from last year?
I think it was around $1,200, $1,300 is what we spent. And they've probably gone up a little bit. I've not priced them. Susan, or Alderman Majors, went around and has generated a pretty good list of signs that need replacing and some poles that are, there's not even a sign on the corner. Sign and poles in. So, what do y'all think about setting a budget for street signs? $1,500 sound good?
Yeah.
I mean, at 1,500 was, you know, moving forward, you know, that's the thing.
Right, well, last year, for that money, we purchased, I think it was 58 street signs and all the hardware, the brackets.
Bus stops.
Yeah, well, we purchased and installed 20 stop signs so far.
So you think that's enough? 1,500 is enough?
I mean,
And I mean, that was in Ward 2 and 1, it was the whole city.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, you know, chances are you're not gonna replace a whole lot of what you already replaced in the past year, you know, so, and at some point, you're just trying to move forward on things.
Yeah, and there was like one right over here by the park that didn't even have a street sign. Period.
I personally, I think 1,500 is a good start point. And if we see we're falling short, we can come back and revisit.
Okay.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I will motion that we accept the budget for street signs for 1,500.
Have a motion to set budget of $1,500 for street signs.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? All right, I'll entertain a motion to pay for street signs out of capital improvement, 1,500.
Motion that we pay for street signs out of capital improvement for $1,500.
Have a motion on the floor.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Now I'll entertain a motion to amend the budget.
A motion that we amend the budget.
All right, motion on the floor.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Next item on the agenda is appointment for the Housing Authority. Mr. Anthony Moore was appointed for a term of 4 years, and he resigned. So I have Ms. Kim Wilson. Where we at, Ms. Kim? Oh, there she is. Ms. Kim's wanting to go on the Housing Authority, so I'll entertain a motion to appoint Ms. Wilson as the Commissioner of Housing Authority to fill out the remainder of Anthony Moore's 4-year term.
I make a motion that we appoint Ms. Kim Wilson.
Yes, you do need to abstain.
I have to abstain from this, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Kim Wilson to fill out the remainder of the term of Mr. Moore's term, 4 years on the House.
Well, if we have 2 abstentions, then we can't do this tonight. We don't have,
That's right.
she has to abstain and he has to abstain. He's related to you and she lives at the Housing Authority.
Okay.
So we'll have to
That's right.
get this either a special session, next time the board can get together, or at next month's regular month meeting. Okay? All right. Sorry, Ms. Kim. Okay. Next item on the agenda is Koozie vs. Subs. So Subs stands for Small Utility Billing Software. And fortunately for us, Ms. Valerie from Missouri Rural Water is here, so she can give us the skinny on subs and what it actually is. So I'll turn the floor over to Ms. Valerie. Whoa, look here, we got us a PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, guys.
We're moving up in the world.
I'm Valerie. I'm the liaison for Subs. It is a billing software designed specifically for small utilities. The biggest client we can have is 500 connections. It's a lot more affordable because it's not meant to do all of the bells and whistles that everything else does, okay? Because small utilities don't do that. So I brought up, this is what it would look like, not necessarily for your town because it's not your town, it's somebody else's town because you don't have it yet. But this is what it would look like. So it kind of gives you like just an idea of what it has the capabilities to do. So if you look at the setup, like you go in, you put your information in, you put your rates in, and you can do your billing from there. And it just, so that the whole back of the bill can be notes. So if you have a public hearing, instead of her having to put it in the newspaper, she can mail it to you on your water bill. It kind of takes that, all of the little loopholes out, just another way to save a little bit of money. of just glance around at the dashboard, the counts. So here is all of our residents. Sorry, our internet's a little slow here. Yeah, did we just do it? No? Yeah. We did. Sorry, guys, we thought we could maybe get in and look around at it, but,
Well, basically, you could give us a verbal rundown of, it's designed for communities with less than 500 connections.
less than 500 connections, and
It's
it,
$300 a year. The program's actually free. The $25 a month is for maintenance, correct? Is what your website said. So $300 a year.
right, and your technical support is in Missouri, okay? Like, literally, all of our employees are here. There's me and one other liaison that literally will just come. If you have problems, we just show up and work you through them. So it's not a matter of you getting put on hold and saying, well, we'll get to you when we get to you. And yes, so it's, and the paper, the postcards is what it is, like it comes directly from us. I'd almost say it kind of like has us here more often. You know what I'm saying?
So, just so the board and public know, Kuzi is the current water billing software that the city of Morehouse uses and has for years. Well, we pay a yearly maintenance fee for Kuzi is $1,400 a year. So, and they're based out of Texas. Is that correct?
Yes.
Patty? So we called Kuzi and wanted them to come and provide training. And they wanted $1,600 to come and provide one day of training on their system. Well, $1,600 is a lot of money to the city of Morehouse. So with Missouri Rural Water having this program, they're in state, it's a cost benefit to the city as far as what the yearly maintenance costs. So it uses the same card stock, so the water bills will still be a postcard size
Yep,
piece of
there's
paper.
4 to a page. It gives you 500 postcards of Ream, and I want to say the Reams are, you remember the price right off?
I don't.
We invoice you for it, so I don't see it right off, but I want to say like $60, you know.
Miss Patty, do you recall what we pay? Is it FTI per box? I know we talked about this the other day, and theirs is cheaper than what we've been currently
I
paying.
think we got 4 boxes and it was $671. So, but that would be enough. I've only had to order them twice. But that's in a, 2-year time frame.
Does the board have any questions of Valerie regarding so?
Well, I know it's a big cost savings, but are we losing anything if we go to this system?
No, because y'all have QuickBooks. So if you had the accounting software that was associated with your Kuzi software, if you guys also paid for that portion, the answer would be yes. But if you're not buying into each grouping of what all Kuzi has with it, because essentially all of the big company softwares have different, let's call them buckets, that you can pull and it all talks together. Subs doesn't have any program like that. You can pull out all the same reports, okay, like you can make them manually do it, and they work out really nice. But if you are currently using all of those other, then yes, you would be losing it. No, you all are not. You all don't have the accounting software to go with your Kuzi, and you all don't have the extra reporting software.
We've been on Kuzi for a long time.
Yeah.
Kuzi for a year.
But
So,
with Kuzi, it is so big, it's bigger than what I need.
Right.
When I've gotten in and looked at their program, it's exactly what I need.
So it'll do
There-
what you
It'll do
need.
exactly what I need it to do, nothing extra.
no,
Um,
go ahead,
it's
don't interrupt.
gonna- It's gonna interface well, it works well with Beacon. That's our software system for when we read meters. It operates identically but without all of that crazy stuff that we don't even access.
How many other municipalities or towns or whatever are on this system?
I believe we're at 63 currently.
How long has it been in existence?
Liz did that. Do you have that number?
3 years, 4 years.
It was written specifically for Missouri Rural Water. So they actually paid to have the software developed. They did, so they will support, Missouri Rural Water can use it for systems up to 500 meters. Someone bought the rights for bigger systems and they market that actively for bigger systems, but Rural Water doesn't do that.
Now, the scenario I was telling you earlier, if we wanted to look up a specific customer dollar amount, let's just say $60.25, could subs do that? Whereas now Kuzi, you cannot.
It doesn't have that function. I can't say my customer paid $11.11 and I can't figure out who it is. If I was able to put that exact amount in, it would take me to every customer that paid that exact amount. So as a research tool, Kuzi is a big flop on that one. We
She
can only
just
look up
typed
by
in
name.
$203 and it pulled up 3 people that have paid.
Now, if I put in 203.90, it took out the top one that was just 203.
Right.
And that quit.
That quick.
So it's a time saver for our office.
And we're under no contract with Kuzi for,
No, you said that they sent a statement, Kuzi's up on October 26th. The renewal.
Now, we paid in March their maintenance fee for $1,400. But if you don't have the program, I'm assuming they will give us a rebate on that. I don't know.
Don't know if they will. It's worth a shot. If the board decides to go forward with
We have
subs,
to
it's worth a
read the
shot
contract
at
and see what it says.
finding.
Long term, it's gonna be beneficial. There's another part of this that I'm interested in, due to the, text messaging part to all the residents.
Yes, so it's coming. So we're in the development stages of being able to text message and email your bill for, if you wanted to use that for a boil order purpose, you could. The email is going to be free. The text message is going to be 0.009 cents. Okay, so like
Less than a penny a piece.
less than a penny a piece.
Per SMS message that's sent or per customer?
Per SMS message that's sent.
Okay.
So, if you really, when your stamps are continuing to rise, if you can move people over to email and text message, again, it's just another cost saver that's coming down the line. And it's communication skills, honestly. Like, don't get me wrong, I think that snail mail was essential when it got here, but it's becoming less and less. People don't go to their mailboxes often. People don't go to the mailbox when it's snowing. People don't go, you know what I'm saying? And if you got a short window on your water billing, it's just really handy to get it on your cell phone. So many people use them more these days. But now that's not completely developed. We have not launched it. It's just coming by the end of the year. We will have that completely finished up and ready to roll out.
Does the board have any questions of Valerie while she's here regarding the program? Okay, well, if the board doesn't have any questions, and y'all want to motion it, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we switch from Kuzi software to sub software effective, do we have to have an effective date?
I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say about at the end of the month, because we want to be transitioned over to them before October 26th, because will y'all have time, let me ask this, will y'all have time to come in and get this set up and all the kinks worked out of it? Because her billing,
My billing would take place probably on the,
your billing's on the 25th. Excuse me. Your billing is on the
I will do it
25th,
on
so
the
we need,
25th. That would be when I would need it to be ready to go.
and Kuzi, our subscription with them, if we don't renew, is October 26th.
As it turns out, I didn't want to drive home tonight because I thought I'd be here late, so I'll see you in the morning.
Okay.
Okay, so, Mr. Dill, would you mind making that motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we cancel our Kuzi software for our billing system and incorporate subs billing effective immediately.
Have a motion on the floor.
I second.
Just a minute, Mayor, when you do subs, do you transfer history?
So we're gonna, no, we don't have to. We can pull her last set of readings and her new set of readings.
Over that customer history?
Yeah, we need to, does it not pull customer history?
It doesn't. We recommend printing that, you know, if you've got something so that you can, we do not have anything, because I mean, your history could go.
So what I would suggest is you talk to Kuzi and see if there's maybe a 3 or 6 month time period that you could keep your history active, not the billing part, but keep your history active.
Yeah, because I mean, here's the point with that, is we're coming into winter. And if someone has a water leak, frozen line, for example, and we give one adjustment per year, per household, and typically it occurs when we have a real big cold snap. So Ms. Patty goes back through 6 months of the customer's billing history and gets an average. And that's how we make an adjustment. So I think,
We can see that off of reports that we already have on file, because we've been working with you on your
rate study.
rate studies. So like, I've already been down and pulled reports to see your customer history and your customer average. Does that make sense?
Yeah, is there not a way to take a external hard drive and plug in and?
PDF it, yes. External hard drive, typically once you remove that system from your computer, you can't get back into the memory of that hard drive. But
Because you don't have the software associated with the data.
all of her reports printed in a PDF version from the ones we were looking at while we were doing the rate study. And yes, we could PDF them and then save those PDFs on a hard drive if Kuzi is being difficult. I've not dealt with Kuzi. I don't know whether they're a system that maybe gets upset and says, well, if you're done with me, you're done with me or not. I don't have that answer. But yeah, we could definitely pull out reports to have.
Well, we're paid up with them through the 26th. So that gives us some time to get the PDFs saved for each customer. Going back so far. You know, I mean, really, I guess there's no sense of going back 10 years. You know, that data is irrelevant. Because you've done your rate study, we know. Yeah, okay. All right, so I have a motion on the floor. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Excuse me, Valerie, on that PDF, can you put it in alphabetical order?
Sure. There was,
That
we
way it
could,
would
we
be
could sort
easier for her
them,
to-
I think it's sorted by account number, or was it last
It
name?
is.
I don't
It's-
remember.
it's
Say, I
sorted.
remember.
Yeah, by account number, not alphabetically. So when I put any report in PDF format, it freezes it. Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is before she does that, would it help you better to have it in alphabetical order versus account number?
And we set account numbers and subs to whatever you want them. So if that be the case, we can just, in subs, make your same account numbers the same subs account number. So then you would know where to find it on that report. If that's the case, and we can't switch it to alphabetical. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Now, one other question is, keeping the account number, it's working, you're going to incorporate Badger's software
Yeah,
so they'll work together.
we already have systems on that have the same meter type as you. So we already have that communication where we can, our system will communicate with your metering system. We don't have to develop that.
Okay. All right. Next item, new business. Had a gentleman reach out to me. His name is Marty Evans. He's wanting to document the old school and the gymnasium. Come through, video it, take pictures, and gather like the history of it from any residence that has history related to the school and gymnasium. I told him I'd take it to the board, let the board decide.
Mayor, you just trying to figure out if you give him a tour through the building?
Basically, is what he's wanting. Tour, take some pictures.
What's he gonna do with that information?
He says he puts it on YouTube. Different buildings around. He's actually a building inspector from the city of Saxon. He reached out to me over the weekend in text, and then he phoned me today. I mean, I think it might be a neat deal. He likes to delve into the history of it, and you never know. All right, so the board doesn't have a problem with it? I'll entertain a motion to give Mr. Marty Evans permission to document the old school and gymnasium.
I motion that we give Maury Evans permission to document the old schoolhouse.
Have a motion on the floor? Motion and a second, all in favor? Okay. Officer Ratcliffe, next item on the agenda is called CLEAT training?
C-L-E-E.
CLEE, okay, well there's a T on here.
That's what I thought it said.
Okay, so CLEAT training, can you explain that to the board?
It is the 24-hour courses that every officer has to go through the year to maintain their certificates as to be a law enforcement officer per
So
the
it's
state.
continuing education online.
Yes,
And for the class that you're needing to maintain credit hours for $69.
yes.
And that is through, was it University of Missouri,
It's a
Southeast Missouri State University, or is it Sheriff's
It's actually
Association?
called an online university, and it's through the the Chiefs Association, Police Chiefs Association.
And just so the board knows, this has to be, motion to do it, it has to be paid out of police officer training funds.
Yes.
So does the board have any questions of Officer Ratcliffe regarding that? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I motion.
I'll make a motion that we pay for the CLEAT training for Officer Ratcliffe at $69 out of our police fund. You said-
Police officer training.
Police officer training fund.
Have a motion on the floor?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Now we'll turn it over to city employees. Ms. Jill, anything? Ms. Patty, do you have anything? Mr. Ratcliffe, do you have anything? All right,
I've got something real quick.
I'm going to turn it over to the board now. Ms. Majors, do you have anything? Mr. Dill, do you have anything?
Just real quick, Officer Ratcliffe, I know you had brought a couple of quotes or estimates for a radar gun before to us.
Yes.
Do you have any more of those estimates or quotes or?
Not at this time. Still looking into it, still trying to figure out where we stand with grants.
Gotcha.
Those.
Gotcha.
Anything else, sir? Doc? You have anything? I'd like to schedule a work session for a budget work session. Ms. Gale, the training that y'all sent Ms. Gale on over at the Missouri Rural Water Conference, they discussed budgeting in that, and they set Ms. Gale up with some pretty cool stuff, so we need to have a work session, sit down, go over this, and start working on our 2023 budget. So what's a good date for everyone?
How soon?
Well, the sooner we start working on it, the better.
Give me
No, Friday.
a couple of weeks.
Couple weeks. So, you want to try to shoot for Monday, November 7th? You be here there?
Yeah,
Is that yours even?
no, it's literally.
So, November 7th,
I will be,
you will be Monday, November 7th.
I'll be gone from Friday, November the 11th till the 20th.
So November 7th, work for everyone? 6 or 6:30? 6:30. Let's do 6 o'clock.
Okay, a note on that, if I can get this worked out between now and then, I have to talk to the accountant. Whenever I give you this for public budgets is, it will be our actual budgets for this year. It'll be line items this time, because then you should be able to just go down through there, and you shouldn't take hardly any time, I would say.
All right. So we got that work session scheduled. All right, now I'll turn it over to members of the public. Sir? Young lady, you have anything? Ma'am, you have anything? Ma'am? Sir? 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 Ma'am? Miss Evelyn? Miss Brown? Miss Deal?
Just thank you for everything you guys are doing.
We appreciate it. We appreciate y'all showing up. It means a lot when you have people in this room. Ms. Wilson? You have anything? Ma'am, sir? All right, well, ladies, I want to thank both of y'all for making the drive. I know it was a long, I think, Miss Mary, you're what, 5-6 hours?
No, 4.5, we both are.
Oh, okay. So thank y'all for coming, helping me help the public understand what's going on. You know, I hate it that it was such a short notice for the people. You know, that's the one thing about this that I really didn't like. I didn't want it to feel like we were just rushing in here and throwing something on people. But our deadline was closing fast, and there's really no other option. So I appreciate everyone understanding that. One other thing I would like to say is this Saturday is the Fall Festival. And Ms. Brown, what time does the parade start? 10 a.m. and then the festivities up at the park starts immediately following the parade. So I look to see each and every one of y'all there.
There is one thing about the rate increase. It will not take effect until the December meter readings.
Meter reading.
So people have some time to budget. It's not immediate. So the city can, and we'll talk to you about that tomorrow, about helping folks be aware of that coming up.
Okay, fantastic. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Have a motion on the floor. Second. Motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.